What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 7 NFL matchup of the 2024 season at home on Sunday Night Football against the New York Jets. A lot of storylines coming into this game, but first of all, I just want to say I wasn't sure if I'd get to say it anytime soon, but here we are. Steeler Nation, let's ride. The Russell Wilson era has begun in Pittsburgh. Again, a lot of storylines coming into this game. Number one, the Jets trade for Davante Adams, coming off a really hot week on offense, firing their coordinator, getting a new offensive coordinator in there, looking like they really had a big opportunity. They've got some big names. The Jets have a pretty star-studded roster. Look like they've been starting to grow and put it together. The new coordinator seemed to really click last week. Looked like Aaron Rodgers was looking like the Aaron Rodgers of old. Now you bring in Davante Adams, who knows Rodgers. Big storylines there. But on the Pittsburgh side, all the talk was Russell Wilson going to come in and play. Russell Wilson coming in over Justin Fields, who led us to a 4-2 record. And I had mixed thoughts. We talked a lot on this channel about what Justin Fields does well versus what he doesn't do, how Russell Wilson would come in and the things that would change for Russell, how we're getting a more experienced guy and a pass-first guy and a better decision maker as a passer, but also a guy that's older and coming off a banged-up calf. And coming in to a backup offensive line with 4 guys out and 3 starters injured. So that right away have a lot of red flags. Both guys have positives, both guys have negatives. This is what you see with the Russell Wilson-led version of the Steelers. Pittsburgh tonight, without spoiling anything, you can tell by the demeanor how this game went tonight. Pittsburgh scores 37 points, which is more than we've had all season. By far and away, our most complete offensive game, and if you look at the mid-second quarter on through the end of the game, our most complete game of the season in total. I want to talk about Russell Wilson and what he did. First of all, coming out a little bit slow, he was looking like 2 things stood out to me watching Russell Wilson early in this game. And again, we're talking about Nate Herbig being out as a backup center. We're talking about Frazier being out as starting center. Fatanu out for the season. Daniels out for the season. Sayamalu just came back recently. We're talking about a banged-up offensive line and a guy that's been out for a year with a calf injury. So we're talking about a really divisive situation. And the offensive line was not looking good to start the game whatsoever. The line was looking bad, and the 2 things that I noticed about Russell Wilson, number one, once he got around the play-action fake and started to move and turn his body, he looked very, very stiff. His ankles looked a little stiff. His hips looked very stiff. He did not look smooth, which is one of the big things Russell Wilson always did. He was an undersized guy who was very smooth at coming out of play actions, getting around the edge, being a really elusive, hard guy to get a hold of, hard guy to contain when he moved the pocket and got to the outside. He looked very stiff. He looked old. He looked beat up, which I'm sure, again, compared to Seattle, he is. This is a different era. But we saw early on the offensive line didn't give him much time and made him kind of jittery, and that caused a lot of early struggles. The second thing I noticed negatively about Russell was that when he got outside the pocket or was moving at all, whether it was his upper body trying to avoid sacks or his legs moving, I noticed that his his throws on the move and his throws that were meant to be a low trajectory came off really low. His trajectory was very low. The ball was pointed toward the ground a lot. He didn't look like he had follow through on some of his lower throws. His high balls, his rainbows, his sideline passes, beautiful as always. Anytime he had time and wasn't affected by a rush, looked great. Anytime that he was throwing where he was heavily pressured or on the run or trying to flip the ball out to get out of a sack, his trajectory was very low and pointed toward the ground, which led to some drops and some crowded throws, which I didn't like early on. That being said, my mental telepathy was going, you know what, just will Russell Wilson to use that beautiful deep ball that he's always had. His sideline deep ball has always been his number one attribute. Just throw up some balls to George Pickens. If you give George Pickens 5 balls down the sidelines, he's going to catch 3 of them, and he's going to get a penalty on 1 of them too. 4 out of 5 balls, he's either going to catch a deep ball or he's going to get a pass interference. He's going to draw yardage regardless. Give the guy some chances. They started just doing that, getting Pickens one-on-one and chucking the ball down the field, and wouldn't you know, 3 deep ball catches plus a deep pass interference. George Pickens was the single biggest beneficiary of Russell Wilson tonight of anybody on the field. And I would have said Calvin Austin would have had more opportunities. We kept hearing about Calvin Austin being Russell Wilson's favorite in camp. Russell Wilson always mentioned Calvin to any of the reporters, but he talked about it ad nauseum. But George Pickens really, really had that DK Metcalf style physical deep ball game, and not just in receiving. We'll talk about it. But let's get to the stats. Pittsburgh comes out first half looking really bad, looking like the Jets are about to kind of run away with things. Early on defense, the things that I noticed, my goodness, the angles and the tackling were terrible. Breece Hall was turning 3-yard plays into 40-yard plays downfield, and Breece Hall is a tremendous running back. He's one of the best in the NFL, young and explosive. But our tackling was horrible in the first half of this game, and the angles in pursuit were so bad. We were missing Garrett Wilson. We were missing Breece Hall. We missed Lazard on one. I think Braylon Allen got one. We were missing tackles like crazy, and just taking these odd pursuit angles and not cutting off the runners and not having help behind us. So guys were diving in at the wrong place, stumbling a lot, missing tackles, causing small plays to go to big plays. Those are the kind of things that kill teams. So the Jets were running away early on, looking like they were a much more stable offense, starting to gel, starting to find themselves. And then all of a sudden, toward the end of the first half, the Jets are about to go up by another touchdown. Beanie Bishop comes in, makes a beautiful interception. We'll talk about him a lot tonight. Beanie Bishop makes a beautiful one-handed pick across the middle on a beautiful read. Crowded throw Rodgers made. Beanie Bishop jumps the pass, one-handed catch across the middle, and then all of a sudden turns things around. All of a sudden, Russell Wilson takes a shot down the field to Pickens. Momentum is all in our favor. Pickens goes and gets Pittsburgh goes and gets the touchdown. All of a sudden, we're down by 2 points going into the locker room. Second half, complete shutout. Pittsburgh goes into the half. The initial score was 15-6. Pittsburgh then, from the end of the middle of the second half to the end of the game, gets a shutout, 24 straight points. Pittsburgh scores on 5 consecutive drives. The touchdown at the end of the half, 3 touchdowns in the second half, and then a field goal as well. So I think it was 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 drives Pittsburgh scores on consecutively, putting up touchdowns, finishing off drives, pounding the ball, looking like a mix of old Steeler football with a quarterback who can pass the ball down the field. So let's get to some numbers, and then we'll talk about exactly what happened with these players. Russell Wilson, check out these stats for his first game. 16 of 29, 264 yards through the air, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. So 3 total Russell Wilson touchdowns, no turnovers, and the most passing yards in a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback debut, I believe, ever at least since like the recent recorded history. Russell Wilson putting up big numbers. And again, it wasn't always pretty. A lot of it was chunk plays on those sideline passes, but he was taking shots and making those things work. He found a few, we'll get to the wide receivers, but Russell Wilson started opening up. He was getting a little looser. The line was giving him more time in the second half. Najee Harris broke the game open with his runs. Play action fakes start to work better when your running backs are hitting the hole harder and making plays. All of a sudden, the line block's better, the running backs are making plays. Now Russell's got more time to find some guys. You saw a big play to Calvin Austin. You saw Darnell Washington get involved. You saw Freiermuth, and most importantly, you saw George Pickens. So we start opening things up, and like I said, Russell Wilson was getting out of the way of sacks. He was looking a little bit spry for his age. He was finding guys, converting plays. This is what you have with Russell Wilson that you don't get with Justin Fields. You get more of a balance, a guy that can still escape the pocket and escape sacks, not quite as athletically, but can still do it while looking as a pass-first guy. A stronger overall arm, a better and more accurate overall deep ball, and better overall decisions, which again, started rocky, got a lot better. Got to feel good for Russell Wilson. Najee Harris, this guy is running possessed. Massive offensive game ball, biggest game ball of the day for Najee Harris. 21 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Najee is running like a man possessed, like a guy playing for his next contract, which he is. He heard a lot of the talkers, myself included, saying he doesn't hit the hole hard enough, he doesn't commit hard enough, he's not finishing runs hard enough, and the offensive line wasn't helping. All of a sudden, Najee Harris, especially in that second half, when he gets stronger as the game goes on, running through people. Even some plays that got stopped, they blew the play dead where Najee's feet were still moving. That could have been 1 or 2 more long touchdowns or at least long runs. Najee's feet are always churning forward, even when the play's stopped. You have to love that. Najee Harris is converting third downs, which means we're holding on to the ball, possessing it, running the clock more, giving Russell Wilson options for play action, and taking some pressure off the offensive line. You love what Najee Harris is doing out there. Jaylen Warren also added 12 carries of 44 yards. Najee had a 4.9 yards per carry, upping his per carry average again. Jaylen Warren, 12 carries, 44 yards, and also had a third down catch where he caught a low pass from Russell Wilson, low trajectory. Russell was on the run, threw the ball too low. Jaylen went down, caught the pass, turned the opposite way that he felt the defenders coming, and got a third down conversion. Beautiful stuff for Jaylen Warren. Felt like he's getting back to his usual form. Big weapon for us. Major game ball, George Pickens. Once again, when George Pickens gets targeted, he makes things happen. His stat line could have been even bigger than it was. 5 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. But you also got to factor in, he had that with about 12 minutes left in the third quarter. He wasn't targeted much after that. I think he had 1 target after that, and that was it. 5 catches, 111, and a touchdown, but also had a 35 to 40-yard pass interference call down the field that he got held on. Also had another catch in the end zone that was just out of bounds that he bobbled, and also had 2 pick plays that led to 2 guys getting other plays. He had a pick play where he went up the sideline and went up toward the sideline in a, I guess you would call it like an out route, where Calvin Austin came up down the middle and got a 39-yard play. Also had a pick play where he got the safety distracted, came across the middle, allowing Van Jefferson to split out in the flat and get a flat touchdown. So 2 big plays by George Pickens blocking as well. Pickens blocking downfield. Also blocked on a play for Najee Harris on one of his longest runs of the day. And did it without holding as well because he was behind the play. Used his back, used his body to shield the defender. Blocking, effort all the way around. Helping the running backs, helping the receivers. George Pickens couldn't have played better today. Excellent. Pat Freiermuth, 2 for 51, 2 beautiful plays. Like I said, Calvin Austin got the 39-yarder. They ran one play 4 times for Darnell Washington. It worked twice. It didn't work twice. But good to see Darnell getting out in the flat and using his big body to get some plays. Love him. Van Jefferson got a touchdown today. 2 nice catches for him. Good to see him getting involved. Everyone's getting more involved. Again, I still want to see Connor Hayward and Calvin Austin getting more opportunities. But you're seeing, more opportunities for everyone. You're seeing Russell Wilson extend plays. You're seeing him find other guys downfield and get better as the game goes on. We love to see it. Offensive line, like I said, overall, I'm going to give it a plus/minus. Started kind of rough, especially in the pass game. Got a little better. Mason McCormick on some good pulls. Dan Moore playing underratedly well. Like what he's been doing a lot this season. Pretty underrated for a guy that I didn't love for the last couple of years here. Ryan McCollum, got to say, pretty good overall. Something went wrong with a couple of those goal line snaps. There was a fourth and inches that Russell did a sneak on, and the third and goal or 4th and goal that Russell did the goal line touchdown on, and both those snaps were weird. The center held onto the snap too long, and then Russell took the ball and pulled it backwards instead of going forwards. So I think it was a penetration issue where McCollum didn't block his guy enough, but something on the snap exchange for those Russell under center plays went a little weird. We converted both of them, so I'm not going to complain too much, but it went a little weird for me. That was one of the only things. But McCollum played pretty well for the 3rd string center on this team that is now starting. So good for him. Defensively, I want to go quick because I don't want to make this video too long. Beanie Bishop, the undrafted slot corner, undersized guy from West Virginia. He needed this. He's been a guy that's had good instincts and almost made a bunch of good plays. He's had good moments here and there in almost every game. He's also had 2 very terrible games, and he's been getting beat in the slot a lot. When you see tight ends and slot receivers and guys lining up in the slot getting the most catches on our team and being our weakest point on defense, that usually means inside linebackers, slot corners, and that's Beanie Bishop. So Beanie's had 2 really bad games, but also made a lot of individual plays in different games. A couple of times he's made good instinctual plays to jump the play, read the play ahead of time, diagnose and jump in front, but not be in position to make the play, not finish it off with his tackle, his body being too small, not being able to make the play. Tonight, Beanie, end of the first half, Rodgers is driving, trying to put us away early. Beanie jumps in, diagnoses the play, one-handed interception, sets us up for a touchdown to get us back in the game. Second half, gets another pick where he's coming up a little behind the play, trailing a little bit on Garrett Wilson. Tips the ball just enough to change the trajectory to bounce the ball off of Garrett Wilson's chest. Change the ball just a bit. Bounces off Wilson's chest. He stays with the play. Beanie stays with his eyes on the play, takes the interception out of the air, runs it back to the 1 yard line, gets diving tackled at the 1. 2 big interceptions and a return to the 1, setting up 2 touchdowns and changing this game for us. Biggest game ball of the game goes to Beanie Bishop, who needed this. Again, a lot of good instincts, a lot of good opportunities. Hasn't always finished off the plays that he's needed to, and has made some bad ones just like he's made some good ones. But tonight was the game of his life, his first 2 picks of his career. Want to say quickly to the Jets offensive lineman that got hit on one of the interceptions. He went down with some kind of a neck injury, some kind of trauma. His limbs are moving, but he was carted off and taken into the ambulance. Best wishes to him. We hope you are well and get better and get full use of all your limbs. I've been there with spinal trauma. I've had spinal fusions. Health is more important than football, my friend. Please take care of yourself. Moving forward, Larry Ogunjobi gets a sack. He played really good tonight. I've loved his entire season so far. Good to see him get on the quarterback. My goodness, Deshaun Elliott, 6 more tackles, including a big diagnosis on 3rd down where he ran somebody down to get the Jets off the field. Deshaun Elliott, besides TJ Watt, is our best player on defense. What a steal for us this offseason. I say it every week. I'm going to keep saying it every week. The dude is a beast. Blitzing, tackling, finishing plays, getting in on 3rd down. Love what he's doing. 6 tackles for Elliott. Peyton Wilson gets 4. I like him always being around the ball, getting more and more positive reps. JPJ, big positive, gets 2 good plays in coverage on 3rd down in tight coverage, 1 in the end zone. Excellent stuff. Keanu Benton gets a batted ball and then gets a screen diagnosis where he jumps on the guy and makes the screen incomplete. Excellent job by Benton tonight. Cam Hayward is like Benjamin Button or Dorian Gray. The dude gets younger and younger and younger. He's playing amazing these last few weeks. He's looking like a 18-year-old rookie out there. The dude is ageless. We love you, Cam Hayward. Alex Highsmith, very good today. Lots of pressure. TJ was double and triple teamed all night. Highsmith didn't get any sacks, but did get several hits and interrupted a couple of plays that could have been converted for first downs. We want to recognize those. Also, Dante Jackson was injured, and James Pierre came in and did not play well. Gave 2 big things up and just didn't seem like he was in a good place. Already having the injury to Corey Trice, our 3rd string outside corner. Having Pierre in there is not good. We need to get either Trice might be out for the year, I'm not sure. We need to get Dante Jackson back. He's played by and large very well this season, lots of turnovers. We need him because James Pierre is not the guy. So let's get him back. Special teams, Chris Boswell once again 3 for 3, long of 46 yards. He's having a Pro Bowl season. He's one of the best in the entire NFL. Corliss Waitman, another good day. 4 punts, 129 yards, just an average of 32.3 yards per punt, but that's because our offense was moving all day and we had a short field. 3 of those 4 punts were down inside the 20-yard line. That is what you want most importantly from your punter. So again, Pittsburgh comes out, passes the ball as good as it has all season long, runs dominant with Najee, the line starts to gel, this new offense is starting to click, the defense starts slow like it always does on the first drive, but comes back and redeems themselves in the second half. Thanks in part to the momentum shift by Beanie Bishop. Pittsburgh goes to 5-2. Granted, the Jets are just 2-5. They're still trying to gel. They're trying to add new pieces, and they had a lot of injuries just like us. They're as banged up as we are. They had a bunch of 3rd-string linemen in there as well, just like we did. So the Jets are not the best litmus test for this new offense. We're going to have to play our division guys soon and play some more physical teams to see where we're at. But right now, Russell Wilson, very encouraging debut. Pittsburgh is 5-2. Tell me in the comments down below what you think of this game, who stood out to you and why. What do you think of Russell Wilson? And was this the right move to make Russell Wilson the starter? Do you like Fields or Wilson better? What they give you, positive and negative. What do you think? Grade Russell's performance. Give me some thumbs up for Beanie Bishop. Like, share, and subscribe. These Pittsburgh Steelers deep dives so I can bring you more of them. And I will talk to you guys next week. Pittsburgh Nation, I'll say it again. Let's ride.